Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Last night, we had a very good football game down to the wire between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles, two of the best teams that the NFC has to offer and two teams who have high hopes for this season. Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, A.J. Brown, Jaden Reed had an excellent game, and we got to talk about it all today. We got a game recap. The Philadelphia Eagles survived the Green Bay Packers 34-29. Jalen Hurts, 20 of 34, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Has to clean that up a little bit. We're going to talk about that as well. Also lost a fumble on the day. Saquon Barkley, 24 carries, 109 yards, 3 total touchdowns. 3 of them. The second Philadelphia Eagle to have 3 touchdowns in his Philadelphia Eagles debut. Let's clap it up for Saquon Barkley. Big time game. New York Giants. This has to have a sour taste in your mouth, but overall just a good game from Saquon. A.J. Brown, 5 receptions, 119 yards, 1 touchdown. Going to the flip side, Jordan Love, 17 of 34, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. We're going to talk about these interceptions by both quarterbacks. I think putting the football in harm's way unnecessarily. Josh Jacobs, 16 carries, 84 yards. Also, want to give a shout out to Emmanuel Wilson. Had some hard running on the day. And then you had Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed really broke the game open for the Green Bay Packers. 4 receptions, 138 yards, and 2 total touchdowns. So let's dive into it. We talked about our impact players, but what actually happened in this game? I think I want to preface this by saying the field was poor. We saw Jordan Love was slipping. Christian Watson was slipping in the back of the end zone. Everybody was just slipping up on the football field. Saquon Barkley, and he said earlier leading up into the football game, I'm trying to figure out what cleats I'm going to wear. So this was just the type of situation that we saw where the field was in poor condition and those guys were slipping all over the place, but we still had some good football. And I want to start out with Jalen Hurts in this football game. Coming into the season, now you have new coordinators. You got Vic Fangio on the defensive side of the ball. You have Kellen Moore running the offense. We're expecting Jalen Hurts that we saw 2 years ago, that MVP Hurts, not the one we saw last year, who was turning over the football, who was injured, who had a lot of things going outside of his favor. And just, I think, to open up the game the way he did, it is cause for concern. And we're going to talk about the turnovers throughout this football game. But you look at that and say, okay, the first interception that Jalen Hurts threw, the Green Bay Packers come out in a shell coverage. We got a 2-high look, and we have a linebacker running the post. So this is looking like a Tampa 2. Understanding that if our linebacker runs with our inside route, we can't make that throw because now we have to put too much air on it. And like you see, Xavier McKinley, he undercuts it. He comes through, and that's an interception. You can't come across with the football late, especially in a situation like that. But we're going to talk about Jordan Love because he made that same exact mistake against a shell look, cover 2 later in the football game. These are throws across the middle of the football field that you just can't make. And I think early on for Jalen Hurts to do it, you set your team back a little bit. But we look at what actually happened early in the football game. He lived with it because the Philadelphia Eagles, even though they had to play defense down in their own territory, the Green Bay Packers kept settling for 3 early. This was a football game that could have easily been 14-0, but it ended up being 6-0. And like I said, for the Green Bay Packers, I want to talk about what they did down in the red zone. Penalties, and even more penalties. You had a holding call down there in the red zone. You had an offensive pass interference on Romeo Doubs. So just looking at things like this, execution when it comes down to the red zone. Now, for Jordan Love, I'll tell you, I talked about it last season. Jordan Love is a very good quarterback. He can make every single throw that you want to see on the football field. I like this pocket presence. I just think in this game, accuracy. Some of those throws he left out there on the table. You look at some of those throws in the back of the end zone, and like I said, we can attribute some of this to field conditions because you saw Christian Watson slip in the back of the end zone, and you saw Jordan Love, especially early in the game, where he's trying to set his feet and make a throw, drive his hip through. He's slipping on the football field when he's trying to make these throws. So I'm just looking at that and I'm saying, okay, I understand what the conditions are, but we still have to make some of these throws. We got to make our money. So in those situations, just having to convert in a game that you could have had a big time lead, you end up going up 6-0. So now we get back to the Philadelphia Eagles side. I don't know what was going on with the exchanges on the snaps between Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts, but that's something that has to be cleaned up because it happened later on down in the game where you had a 3rd and goal, you fumble on the snap, and now you're in a situation where, okay, we can't do this again because even where they could have got the tush push, they get nothing. Now they have to settle for a field goal. If they can execute on the tush push in a situation like that, we're looking at a touchdown. There's no possibility of Jordan Love going out there and scoring before he gets hurt. So the Eagles start to settle down on offense. They settle in, they get a scoring drive going, and it's attested to one man, the new guy on the block, Saquon Barkley. He had a big time game. Like I said, we aforementioned his stats earlier, but still looking at what he's doing in this football game, Saquon was always explosive. When he played for the New York Giants, he could always catch the football out of the backfield, but I think just looking at it now, you look a lot more explosive when you have the best offensive line that you've ever ran behind. Those gaps were open, and you're looking at those linebackers, Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker. They have no answers. Saquon Barkley is making guys miss in the second level. He's getting breakaway runs. He's catching the football out of the backfield. He had 2 first half touchdowns, got another touchdown late in the game. So just looking at what he did, I think now we start to see. This is why a lot of people are looking at the Philadelphia Eagles as one of those teams that can be extremely dangerous this season. We know what A.J. Brown is. He's exceptional. He's not supposed to move the way he does for as big as he is. He's a great ball winner. He can get down the football field. And we saw in the touchdown that he had in this game, yards after the catch, juking, outrunning people, that breakaway speed in the open field. Then you go Devontae Smith. He was exceptional in this game. Wherever you need him, whenever you need him, he's going to be there for you. He's making that timely third down catch. He's making that timely second and long catch to get you in the third and short. He's just that guy that's constantly going to be there. He's an excellent route runner. He's very crafty when he gets open. And we always talked about, okay, would he be too slick? That's not even in the conversation anymore. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, that dynamic duo. Like I said, Saquon Barkley behind that. Then you had Dallas Goedert chipping in. Now, I'd be interested to see kind of how Jahan Dotson, he's newer to this football team. He's still getting acclimated, but I wonder what dynamic he's going to bring to this offense. And I think even for what we saw with this football team, the Green Bay Packers, Jeff Hadley, the new defensive coordinator, they did a solid job of containing Jalen Hurts' legs. So just imagine when he starts to run football, when they start to get the design run game going, I think this is going to be a very good offense. And we saw that in this football game, minus the turnovers. But we get to the flip side. We go back to the Green Bay Packers side, and they showcase why they have a very dangerous offense. Now, they have a plethora of weapons. They got wide receivers. They got tight ends. They got running backs in the backfield. And they have Jordan Love, who's a good quarterback. But I think when we look at in this game, they were able to attack the Philadelphia Eagles on the ground at will. Now, I think number 53, Zach Bond, he was the unsung hero for the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a very good game. But just when we look at this at a bare look, they couldn't stop the run for the Green Bay Packers. And Matt LaFleur, he comes from that Shanahan system, that McVay, where everything we talk about, that West Coast style system, he understands how to balance the run and the pass. They were attacking downhill, like I said, Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, but really the star of the day, who took the show, had 2 back-to-back touchdowns in the first half, that's Jaden Reed. Now, on the first touchdown, he came down, he had an end around, caught that, went down to the end zone and scored it. But that second touchdown, it's just exceptional because I think when we look at that play, he scores on an easy post route. And I think for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who had the blown coverage, now we're looking at it where, okay, if I got the deep third, middle of the field, I'm trying to divide 1 and 2. But when my inside receiver, now he comes underneath me, I can't turn my hips late. And you saw that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson turned his hips extremely late because I think he was trying to divide the outside and inside 1 and 2. But then Jaden Reed, he catches the football, makes him miss, and then he goes to the end zone. Now, this is the second year for Jaden Reed. He's coming out of Michigan State, big time receivers. He showed some flashes last year, but in this game, I think this was a coming out party. Now, in terms of what we're probably going to see in the future, like I said, they do have so many guys. This game, it was Jaden Reed, but next game, it could be Bo Melton. It could be Dontavian Wicks. It could be Romeo Doubs, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave. It can be anybody for this offense, and I think that's what makes them so dangerous. You can't just say, okay, I want my number 1 corner to follow Jaden Reed. I want my number 1 corner to follow Romeo Doubs. There's so many different variables within this for this offense in a big time game. Then the Philadelphia Eagles come out, and like I said, this is what makes them so dangerous. A.J. Brown. Now he and Jair Alexander were going at it in this football game, but I think what we saw in this first touchdown was we got a double move. And it's the aggressiveness. It wasn't the cleanest route. It wasn't the prettiest route, but it's understanding how to play through contact. And Jalen Hurts, his 2 touchdown passes were exceptional because that one he had to Saquon Barkley threw it right before Xavier McKinney could get over. You had 2 double posts up top by A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. He's placing that in the breadbasket for Saquon Barkley. Then the touchdown to A.J. Brown, you're sending that over Jair Alexander. You're leading him and you're allowing him to get yards after the catch. He makes the safety miss. Now he's running down the football field. He's going. So just looking at those 2 things, the Philadelphia Eagles coming out strong in the second half, but still, the Packers, they came back and mashed it. Christian Watson, they go down, they get another touchdown. And like I said, I didn't even mention Christian Watson because he's another guy. And he's probably, as far as athletic tools, the guy who can be the most explosive and has the most potential. He runs about 6'5", 205, 210 pounds, and he runs for a 3. But he came back and he got a touchdown. So now we're looking at a football game that's 26-24. Green Bay Packers have the lead. But I think once you look out of that, this is where we start to see some of the things that we have to be critical about when talking about Jordan Love. I think after that Christian Watson touchdown, now we start to see Jalen Carter, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat. We start to see that defensive line creeping into the mind a little bit of Jordan Love. They're starting to hit him a little bit. They're starting to get after it. And I think at that point, now we have a drive where he's missing a couple throws. He's pushing the football wide. He's putting the football too high for the receiver. And then we have the interception. Now, on the interception that he threw to Reed Blankenship, I have to give credit to the Philadelphia Eagles as well. I talked about number 53, Zach Bond, earlier, and it's no surprise that he's in this play again. Now, he was on the line of scrimmage. Like I said, this is the same mistake Jalen Hurts made, but it's a different type of throw. When he's trying to get the football to his tight end, we have Zach Bond. He's hauling tail off of the line of scrimmage. He's getting underneath this route. So now we have to put air on the football or we have to adjust the throw. And then that effort by Zach Bond, that gives Reed Blankenship just enough time to come and undercut that route. Now he has an interception. And even still, I think it's one of those situations where if the linebacker is playing that good coverage, similar to what Jalen Hurts did, when the linebacker is running the pole, it's a very, very tight throw. And I understand sometimes that is the read. Sometimes you have to make that tough throw. But I think in a situation like that, where Reed Blankenship was right there to make a play on the football, it's just a very ill-advised throw in the Green Bay Packers territory, should I add. So after that, then you have the Philadelphia Eagles. They go down and score. Green Bay, they get back in the red zone, but they miss a 43-yard field goal. The kicker pushes it to the right. Now you're in a tough situation. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, they have a beautiful drive. They're throwing the football. They're running the football. Everything is looking good. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, everything. But then Jalen Hurts, I'm just not understanding. Because you had a bad interception in the first quarter, and then right here in this situation, now you almost threw an interception to Keyshawn Nixon, should I add. That was the first ill-advised throw that you made, but Keyshawn Nixon dropped the pick. You live to fight another day. Then on 3rd and long, you come back with it, throw it across your body in the end zone, trying to get it to A.J. Brown. Jair Alexander baits it, interception. And I think in that situation where you throw the interception, you have to live to fight another day. Now, the first pick was bad, but I think this one is worse because you're looking at a 31-26 football game. I think if you at least get a field goal right there, now it's 34-26, then that's an 8-point lead. So it's really tough. And the Green Bay Packers, they're going to have to go down. They have to score. And now they have to go for the 2-point conversion to top the football game. In a situation where you're throwing across your body, it was an unnecessary throw. And when Jalen Hurts, I think cleaning up some of that, being clean with the football, your team is too talented to put your defense in situations like that. Lean on the offense. Sometimes take the check down scramble. You could have threw the ball away if anything. But right there, that's just an interception that you can't have. And like I said, I think it may even be worse than the first one. And when we talk about the situation and what the timing of the game was. But still, the Packers, now they go down. It's 31-26. They go down and get a field goal. So now the Philadelphia Eagles only have a 2-point lead. And luckily for them, they go back and they get a field goal, making it 34-29. But like I said, that was another situation where they could have scored right there. You have the tush push, you fumble on the exchange, Cam Jurgens can't get the football cleanly to Jalen Hurts, and that's just one of those things where I'm thinking, okay, now, even with what happened, The Green Bay Packers had every opportunity. There was third and longs in this drive. There were times where they could have gotten the football back. Jair Alexander had a holding call on A.J. Brown, and Kenny Clark had a very unnecessary holding call. I don't understand why we're holding Saquon Barkley, trying to keep him out of the backfield on third down. If Kenny Clark doesn't get that holding call, now we're looking at a 4th and short. And knowing the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think it was about 4th and 2 or 4th and 3. I don't think they would have went for it in that situation, especially in their own territory, looking at the manner of the game. So it's one of those things where we could have won this football game. It was so close for the Green Bay Packers. But like I said, those little things. And this is what I talked about with the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. When you play bad teams, they'll beat themselves. When you play good teams, it comes down to those situations, making the most important play in the most important moment. Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander, those two holding calls really hurt this football team. You could have gotten the football back. You would have only been down 2. Jordan Love can go get you a field goal. He can make that type of drive. And also, speedy recovery for Jordan Love. I don't know what the timeline is. I don't know how much time he will miss. The injury didn't look too bad, but it didn't look good either. So we want to see him back on the football field. We want to see Jordan Love healthy. But like I said, this was a good week 1 win for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think when you look at the Packers and the Eagles, for the football teams that we think these two can be, the mistakes and the turnovers and some of the sloppy things that we saw in this football game, it shows you that even with that, it's 34-29. These are two very explosive offenses. You take away that interception by Jordan Love, they could have had they could have had another touchdown. You take away a fumble by Jalen Hurts. You take away 2 interceptions. You're looking at even more points on the board. So this is to say, when we go back into the film room, when we get ready for week 2, now we have some good film, we have some bad film. And I think for it to be week 1, that's one of the better things that you'd like. It's not all bad and it's not all good. Now, if it was too good, you would say, okay, how good of an opponent did we really play? But they played the Green Bay Packers. This will be a good football team. So we have some good film, things that we know will work and things that we know we can build upon. For the Green Bay Packers, you played a good Philadelphia Eagles team. Okay, you understand. We can still run the football. Their second level has to be cleaned up. We were blocking them early, and then the pass rush started to creep in the second half of the football game. You look at Quinyon Mitchell, Reed Blankenship. They made some plays, but the passing game was still flowing for the Green Bay Packers. Both teams having some things they can look at and say, okay, I like that. Having some things they can look at and say, okay, that has to be fixed. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought about this football game. I think it was a solid football game, but still a lot of mistakes. It was a week 1 football game, but overall, very exciting. I like this football game, and I like both of these teams, and I will be keeping my eye on them. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That's going to do it for today. And now, we out.